Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the second of 5 sessions of The Between. The Between is a PBTA game of gothic horror and investigation designed by Jason Cordova, not yet available to the public, so we're using a pre-publication version. I'm expecting to see it published in the Gauntlet RPG Communities Codex magazine, end of May, beginning of June, that kind of time. And at some point in the future, it'll be available to the public. If you don't know about the Gauntlet is an online RPG community or club where we play role-playing games, mostly in the indie narrative end, story game end of the spectrum, but not always. If you want to know more about Gauntlet, please search Gauntlet-RPG and come find out more about us. Come play with us, because all our games are available. We put about 100 games a month up on our calendar. I'd say no more about that. I'm not going to go through our cats because we went through that last time. If you want to know more about The Between, if you skim back to the start of session 1 in this series, then you'll hear what the rules have to say about the concept of this game, its aims, its tone, its content matter, and also the safety tools we're using. So we're using the X card, lines and veils, an open door, and we're also playing within the Gauntlet Community's Code of Conduct, which I often summarize as "don't be a dick." We have a very positive table culture here, and I'd encourage you to come and play with us just for that, to be honest. So I will finish by saying my pronouns are he, him, and I will go to our players for a brief introduction to the characters they are playing. So Mendel, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Hence Unruh the Vessel.
All right. So my name is Mendel. I use he, him pronouns, and Hence Unruh is uses they, them pronouns and is, you might say, the natural conclusion of what happens when, the Seal of Solomon is consumed during a pregnancy. So.
Yeah, that sums it up. And just for reference, Hence had quite a tough time last time in confronting a haunting at a house in St. James's Street in London. We are in Gothic London. Touchstones are Penny Dreadful and similar. Yes, and Hence was left with 2 conditions at the end of session 1: shaken by what had happened, but also most beloved. And I've had a word with the author about most beloved, and most beloved is most beloved by the darkness for the most part. So it could allow certain clues to be visible to the most beloved. It could make the most beloved susceptible to the darkness. So Hence can have a conversation with their manservant Moore about those choices at some point. I'm going to break the sequence because it does make sense to follow the employer with the employee. So Donna, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Moore, Hence Unruh's factotum.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. My name is Donna. My pronouns are he, him. And today and throughout the series, I'll be playing Moore, also he, him, the factotum, who is in the employ of Hence. He is a kind of button-down, upright, standing guy with a past, I guess we are slowly seeing in the military, and who seems quite studiously loyal in service to Hence, though maybe a little bit out of his depth in terms of exactly what's going on, but that never stopped anyone. Certainly not Moore.
Great, yes, and the reason I made the point was that you chose to put on one of the masks in the game, the Gilded Door, and that is why your employer is most beloved.
Yeah, well, obviously these things shouldn't benefit me. These honors belong to my employer.
It would be impertinent for you to be well beloved, wouldn't it? Most beloved.
Yeah. not my place.
So let's go next to Greg. Greg, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Dr Weiss, the mother.
Yes, I'm Greg, he, him, and I'll be playing Dr Weiss. And yeah, she's the mother. She basically is trying to recreate, create a person. And basically, where was it? There was something we wrote down.
I think
Wait,
some of you have been putting right way down at the bottom of row 158. You've been putting some notes in.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. I was just ignoring the dark parts. Yeah. And so she lost her cousin at the age of 10. And so, and it was then haunted by this creature, by a creature that looked like her cousin with no skin. And so she's trying to kind of recreate a child with, discarded human body parts. And she does get a move at Dusk. We can cover that later, but just FYI. Yep.
Yes, do folks have a look at your playbooks to see if you have any moves that are triggered at dusk or at night, because we will be moving the clock on in that direction shortly. And finally, Stephen, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to the angel, Constance O'Neill.
Hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him, and I'm playing Constance O'Neill, the angel or the American. Constance O'Neill was, as we saw, a shootist of some regard back in the States. Before contracting a mysterious quickening curse that we haven't seen much of yet. I had a pretty volatile youth, even though I was raised in wealth. We were hunted by the ghost of my twin sister that died of polio as a child, and my mother never quite. She never quite got over that. Recently, we found at the end of last session that my parents sent a Pinkerton after me. Probably, we're not getting out of that one without someone getting shot. So hopefully it's not me.
Yeah, it would be a shame if it was you. But you do have some other resources than that 1851 Colt Navy revolver, in as much as we've yet to see
I
it.
got other things, but
yeah, we're going to leave that just sitting there waiting until something goes wrong.
But that's like saying I have other resources than these here gold bars I have with me. I have other things, but they're just not as good.
Indeed. So there is our cast. Last time, again, I would suggest you go back and check out session 1, but session 1 ended with a rather explosive attempt by Hence to save the lady of the house at 18 St. James's Street, who was being strangled by a ghost, as far as we can tell. But mysteries in the between are structured as a set of questions. And last time, the hunters answered the question that they had to start with, which was which part of the house is the ghost attached to? And they worked out that it is attached to the bedroom in which a maid about a month ago appeared to die of heart failure, or as the popular press, the yellow press said, was frightened to death. And that room seems to have had other purposes in the past. So the hunters, as we describe them, know that, and as a result, they have gained access to a move called Ritual Chamber, which under certain circumstances allows them to commune with ghosts. The question they have to answer in order to resolve the current issue around the house is how can we get this ghost to pass on to the next world? And they will be seeking clues to that as we play on. But now I think we left the poor Beale family rather shaken by events. It's clear to the hunters, to the characters, that there have been issues in the house since the death of Ginny Hess, in as much as everyone's a little twitchy and everyone's a little nervous. And indeed, the 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old son of the house offered Dr Weiss a ghost tour of the house. So it appears that the family are concerned and they are grateful to have Hargrave House, which is the base of operations for our group of hunters, on side. But after all of that fuss, I think what I want to do is to cut to you returning to Hargrave House. And we will enter the dusk phase of the game, which runs through day, dusk, night, dawn. So at dusk, are there any moves that any of you have that are triggered by dusk?
Yeah, that's me.
Would you like to outline that move to us, please, Angel?
Well, like I said, I got this quickening curse, and I guess it's really a roll to see whether or not I turn into a monster that I'll have to hunt down, or if I continue as a player character.
Yeah, and just to reassure you, of course, were you to roll really badly on this and be faced with becoming a monster,
yeah, I got these masks, I know.
You can always put a mask on to improve the outcome. So it is, you go when you want to go. So let's start with that then, the quickening.
Where's the die roller here?
Let me just put that in the Zoom chat. There you go.
Cool.
Are you rolling, Stephen? I'm not.
Yeah. I'm just about to roll now.
Okay.
Alrighty, that is 7.
7 to 9. You manage to keep the quickening in check, but just barely. Take the following condition: drained. So
all right.
Add the condition drained. And what does that look like when you can feel it coming upon you as night approaches, Angel? What do we see on screen?
I think that we see me after picking up that letter and returning to the house, kind of double over a bit in pain, and I think that while regardless of if any of the rest of you ask what's wrong, I flee off to my my quarters, where you hear me scream, and I probably smash my hand to whatever mirror we have there.
Lovely. And so we start with a picture of you, and then your fist impacts the mirror, and we see the picture of you fragment, which is perhaps a picture of what's going on inside you. Any other dusk moves?
Yeah, the mother has one. It's the Resurrectionists.
Aha.
A gang of grave robbers led by a man called Harley White, dingy workman's clothes, cracked teeth, smells of grave dirt, is loyal to you. Each dusk phase, pick 2. And so I'm going to pick the grave robbers will dig up corpses that night. During the dawn phase, acquire a body part for the child. And then the other one is a grave robber, either Harley or another, will accompany you during the upcoming night phase. Take the following condition ghoulish. Any roles associated with actions of grave robber is helping you with are taken at advantage.
Okay.
And then there is another one which I didn't select, which is you face no blowback or complications from any criminal activities the grave robbers get up to that night.
And
So,
therefore there will be blowback
yeah.
from that. Let me just make a note of that. I have just the person. Okay, and so that resolves those. Now I want to begin to develop Hargrave House. It is dusk. The sun sinks over London. The smog casts the sky an angry orange. And let me ask you some questions. We'll begin with the reception hall, I think. And I'll ask each of you in turn if I've understood the way this is meant to work. So let me again go back round to Hence Unruh. Do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House?
I feel so a little of both. I think I feel when I enter Hargrave House that this is a place that desperately really wants me to feel at home, and the extent to which it feels comfortable is itself unnerving. Like, you know, no place I've been in, you know, just for maybe a year at most is should be this comfortable. It feels like something's being whammied or something, you know, that it's trying too hard.
Right.
The house itself.
What do you perceive in the reception hall that reinforces that feeling?
I think that it's there's a coat, not exactly a coat closet. There's a place to hang one's outer coats that is that just sort of just happens to end up being perfectly customized for each of us with, you know, a name and everything over there, as though it's been there for years. And each of them like sort of displaying a mythological, you know, figures, and it's just ornately carved in the woodwork. But it's just like it's like the house was expecting you, and it just, yeah, it's being too welcoming.
That I like that. So it was expecting you. Of course, because you are fated to be here, perhaps, hence. Marta, same question to you. What do you feel? Do you feel unsettled or at home?
I would say she does not feel at home, and she might feel unsettled, but she is in a foreign land. So she sees this part as a means to an end, a waypoint. So, you know, she's unsettled, but this is just where she is for now.
And what is it about the hall that reinforces that feeling of maybe being the outsider, right? Or being transitory? I don't know.
Yeah. Let me think. How about she doesn't get the let me think, something interesting. Well, how about she just doesn't get this fascination with tea? And so there is some sort of picture of an English, you know, domestic setting where they're all drinking tea.
Fine.
And she's just like, do they ever get enough of this stuff?
Fine. So there's a picture of English tea time. Good. Fine. Moving along. More. At home or unsettled?
I think Moore is perfectly at home, as he has been in every location he's spent in for more than 24 hours. I guess when you're in the service, you just get used to that kind of thing, whether it be working for a master or in the army. So yeah, perfectly at home, but there's nothing. He doesn't think that's unusual. That's just him.
And what is it that the camera will linger on that or imply that you perceive as making you feel at home here? You are predisposed to be at home. I get that.
Yeah. I think there is like there's a sideboard or something like that directly inside the door with a number of drawers, and when Moore no, I mean, I think we see Moore like open one of those drawers, and there is like a notebook in there which he opens and refers to, and there's like normal household bookkeeping in there. So like the delivery of tea for the delivery of the newspapers, all the periodicals, all of that is kind of outlined in regimented orthodoxy. And this is, I guess we're not sure if this is his doing or whoever came before him, but this is exactly what Moore desires in any kind of house that he's a part of.
Spot on. Thank you for that. What about Angel O'Neill? Settled or uncomfortable? At home? Not at home?
Well, I mean, I feel like I'm at home. I travel a lot in my years, and I mean, one house is as good as another, and I think that any place in the house that O'Neill that I frequent has a tendency to accrue a certain amount of mess, like a healthy level. And usually half-read books left laying out kind of the page they're open on face down, or various newspapers left scattered out.
Fine. So half-read books and newspapers scattered over that sideboard, which I think we probably see more begin to tidy as they have been left by Angel.
It's just not healthy to be that tidy, More. I mean,
well, at least I marked the pages properly before I closed them. So when you retrieve them in a month's time, or you ask me, I'll be able to put your mind at ease.
Do you think it's Angel who's been turning in the corners on those books rather than using a proper bookmark?
well, of course. I mean, that it makes sense. I mean, they're damn books. They're not national treasures.
Classic. Let's move on then to the next point, which is I need to know what each of you plans to do during the coming night phase. Now, you can do what you like. There is in the rules a distinct difference between day and night. Things you do at night are riskier. There are very few moves in this game. There's the day move and there's the night move. The night move may have greater consequences for you. And also, I am not obliged to abide with your preference for what happens at night, whereas during the day, I am obliged to largely follow your lead. So just be aware of that. And I suppose the other thing I'd like to make sure you've spotted is that there is a basic move called, where's it gone? The vulnerable move, which is the only way. It's the only generic way that you can remove a condition. And it just occurs to me that you may want to think about that before we get to a new day. You could be investigating the ghost tonight if you wanted to, but I wanted to make sure that you've noticed that there is a vulnerable move there in which you can seek to remove, or guarantee to remove, a condition. So with that in mind, let me come round to Hence again. Hence, your most beloved move condition can never be removed. That you are stuck with that now, and no one else can be most beloved.
I am acutely aware of this. Yes.
But I am curious what your plan for tonight is.
So I think my plan is I need to research. But first, I think I need a glass of absinthe to settle my nerves, and I will be more than willing to share that in the presence of in polite conversation with the fellow hunter, whichever one is proximate. Perhaps maybe hard to find Marta if she's talking to the grave diggers right now, but if anybody, I mean anybody who's around, I will sort of
that
discuss
is
the events
what
of the
you'd like
day.
to do. So that's what you'd like to spend this tonight doing. Fine. Let me move along to Marta. Marta, how would you like to spend tonight? The dark.
Yeah, I think
of a
she would
London
like to
day?
visit the Turkish baths
Okay.
to calm her worried mind. And yeah, I guess she was thinking maybe she would take Angel if Angel was interested. Maybe she wants to, Angel's drained. And so Marta's like, oh, this is definitely what's gonna, help you out. Oh, it works every time for me. You got to come to the Turkish baths.
Okay. We leave Angel to decide in a moment and come to Moore. Moore, how would you like to spend tonight?
I mean, I think what Moore would like to do is really neither here nor there. I mean, he is but a servant in this regard. So I think what he intends to do is to drop a note or maybe call to Brother Samuel, who is a disgraced vicar, to maybe look for some advice on how to do some kind of exorcism or bring a soul to rest.
Okay, so brother, and this is your Hargrave House Informals move.
Indeed, yeah.
And specifically, why would you not want to have a disgraced vicar on hand? So fine. So you'd like to have a scene with our disgraced vicar, Samuel. Okay, and finally. I will come around and check with you one more time, just if anything else has triggered something of interest to you. Angel, how do you imagine you'd like to spend tonight?
Well, I was actually thinking of dropping in on Marta Weiss anyway to show her to see if I could get her to, I don't know, maybe be a little bit less of a over intellectual stick in the mud, but I suppose she's dropping in on me.
So are you saying that you'd like to accompany Marta to the Turkish baths? Because that's what Marta seems to be intending.
Yeah, I suppose I can do that.
Okay. Let me go around one last time and say, hence any check, because I'm allowed to go around and ask you for one revision. So any revision of your initial plan, hence?
Oh, you know what? If I am to be left on my lonesome in the house, most likely I will decide that after 2 glasses of absinthe that the house is too talkative when no one else is here, and go out into the street at night.
Okay, so you want to indulge a little and then go for a wander in the night. I get that.
And Marta can definitely talk with you, right? Just Marta is going to go to the Turkish baths as well. So your call though.
Well, so you get to express your wishes, and then I'll tell you what happens. So gotcha. Marta, I get that you would quite like to get the penny and the bun. Turkish baths and a chat with Hence. We'll see.
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to shut it down. That's what it was. Yeah. Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
More, any change of intent?
Yeah, I was about to say, if the kind of uh, more, if Moore is left with a sense that Hence is bereft of companionship, then obviously he will, if invited, share a draft with her, or maybe sip at it while she consumes it, and he can just send a note to the vicar instead of going to visit.
Okay, okay. And then finally, Angel, any change of plan?
No, I think I mean I probably get some reading done as well, but I suppose that it's off to these Turkish baths.
Okay, okay. I think what I'm going to do is going to start with the Turkish baths, actually. And so, Marta, describe what is so attractive about this Turkish bath that you frequent.
Okay, Turkish bath. Not even sure what these things are. Are they like a spa? Like,
Yeah, you know, hot bath, cold bath, massage.
Yeah,
excellent.
during the Renaissance era, bathing became unpopular in Europe because they thought it made you ill. So so that's why Turkish baths are called Turkish, because they
Right.
weren't like, they were sort of imported back from the Orient.
Right. Those weirdos, don't like that person has no smell about them. So bizarre. Yeah. So, Marta, I think has uh, let's see. Yeah. So what she likes about Turkish baths is, I will say, the God, how do I? Anyway, yeah. So she's like fascinated with the human body. So there, you're surrounded by human bodies, and so, I would say, there is a sensual kind of aspect to her, but for her, it's kind of been sublimated into this, desire to create this creature. And so,
I'm
yeah.
curious. Is this a Turkish bath that allows mixed bathing?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Um, and I think we'll say that, like, Marta is a little oblivious to men and their responses to her. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, and maybe she's one of the few women who do the mixed bathing. And she's oblivious to maybe the interest the men have, and she's just kind of like, oh, you're into, like, she thinks, oh, they must be interested in human bodies and how they work as well.
Um, Indeed, it's purely for reasons of study
Yeah.
that certain people come to this Turkish bath. Angel, what's your impression of this Turkish bath that Marta has introduced you to?
I mean, I think it's a rather complicated way of going about bathing, but I mean, I guess I hadn't taken Marta to be the kind of Miss Weiss to be the kind of lady that liked ogling naked men, but I suppose I'm wrong.
And I'm curious, Angel, does that line of thought take you anywhere in this mixed Turkish bath?
I like ogling a naked body as much as the next lady, but yeah, we'll see. I think that and actually I explicitly like, I am not subtle. I explicitly say that thing I just said to Marta as we are here.
And is there a suggestion in that, Angel? To take things further than just a bath and a massage?
I mean, I suppose that there's a certain suggestion, whether it's with me or picking up one of these fellas wandering about the place, all with their bits hanging out and whatnot.
I'm going to just cut it there for a moment. So I've got that in my mind, and then we'll come back to that in a moment. While we cut back to Hargrave House, and we see Moore bringing the. Well, you tell me, Moore. How do you deliver absinthe?
Yeah, I think we wouldn't want to give the impression, even if there's no one else here, that that Hence is just after absinthe. So maybe there's a selection of decanters on a table on a large serving tray, and then I don't know, maybe some relatively refined sherry glasses or something like that, into which the absinthe is poured. I think Moore will maybe stick with the Scotch.
Hence, can I ask you, is that the arrangement really, that when you call for drinks, there's almost an expectation that Moore will join you, or is this unusual?
You know what? I think that's probably. I don't know that it's an expectation, but I think it's a thing that has definitely happened before. I think it depends on whether Moore feels that he can take a moment from his duties or not, more so than whether or not I don't feel that Hence has any problems with sitting and sharing a drink with Moore. It's one of those things. Hence is so lost in their own head that they don't have they don't really have a lot of concerns about, especially like in relatively private contexts, the social hierarchies.
No, I like that, and it's the kind of thing that might play back into some mask of the past. That in private you're more equal than you are in public, perhaps. I like that a lot. So let's go back to the Turkish baths, where I think you have already begun to trigger the vulnerable move, I'd have to say. When you have an intimate moment with another hunter while one of you is engaged in your vice, and Marta's vice is Turkish baths, you may clear an appropriate condition. So both of you can clear a condition.
Yeah, I'd actually like to add, just to kind of play into one of my my XP triggers here. I kind of arc my eyebrows at Miss Weiss. I mean, come on now, Miss Weiss. You can't be analyzing the human body from a purely scientific perspective all the time. Surely every now and then, well. And I kind of lean in close. A woman has her urges, doesn't she?
Nice. Yes. So yeah, Marta, I think she'll look a bit shocked, a bit like uncomfortable for a second, but then a smile will crack. And then she will say, and she'll say, well, the co-ed, you know, what does she say? Basically, she'll say that, well, she likes, the women only baths. On that end, I usually go to the women only baths. So.
And I think that at this point the camera will stray. We see you probably discreetly wrapped in towels. The camera drifts up to where there are men and women moving about entirely naked. Through the steam, we see water condensing on the marble walls and dripping down. And there is a sign that says private rooms. And is that where Martha heads?
Sure, why not?
And Angel, do we see Angel consider for a moment and follow or not?
I think Angel kind of blushes and coughs for a second, but mumbles to herself, "Always got to fall for the weird ones, haven't I?" And I follow after.
Fine. So I think on this then, let's resolve that move. Each of you removes a condition, but because it's your vice, Marta, you can also stumble on a clue, tell the keeper what it is. The clue cannot conclusively answer a question by itself, or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past. You must answer truthfully, but not necessarily completely.
Oh, while on the subject of clues, should we clear the used ones from the James Street Ghost?
No, leave them there because they're a good aid memoir for me if I want to build out from them.
Okay. I'll just move them down and uncheck them because they're used in the calculation, the auto calculate thing.
No, you're okay. If you check out currently, the second question takes account of that.
Ah.
It's 2d6 plus 1.
Okay.
It is the most sophisticated keeper I've ever seen. Oh, that's my understanding how it works. So don't.
No, because it's subtracting the complexity from the checked marks.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Well, the question last session, you seem to indicate that when we use them for one question, they were not available for the next question.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Right, and the keeper seems to indicate that they are. That everything checked applies to each question.
Yeah. I'm with you. Okay.
Right.
Let me shift them. That's a good plan.
Because I wasn't certain. I was like the rules itself say that you're actually allowed to answer the question when you have like just half of the complexity. To try to at least.
Yeah. So let me get rid of all of those, but that one and uncheck all of those. Does that work? Yeah, I think that works. Let's assume it does until we try. I mean, it's not a difficult calculation for us to do.
No, yeah, I wanted.
So let's then cut back. Sorry, I was asking Marta, wasn't I? Whether you wanted to stumble on a clue and tell me what it is, or invite the other hunter to ask you about your past and answer them truthfully, though not necessarily completely.
Yeah, let's do a clue. And maybe we hear something at the Turkish bath. Maybe Marta goes to one that, has a certain kind of topic of conversation.
Okay.
And so it is, and we hear about people. Wait now, Penny. What like time period is this? Like
1880s, 1890s.
Okay, all right. And this is back when like seances and all that were in vogue, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, so how about we overhear something about there's some sort of a haunting at a house. They're hearing some small child, who's not there. And we hear something along the lines of how about we hear of a voodoo or some sort of exotic. We hear them talk about some exotic like witch doctor, voodoo thing, shaman that is in London who deals with hauntings.
Okay. In order to make it as vague as possible so you can use it any way you like, what I've written is Marta overhears discussion of seance, young child, shamanic ritual.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, then it doesn't require a person. It could be what they described. Fine. That's a good clue to have. And that, I think, resolves that vulnerable move. Let's go back to the library at Hargrave House, where Moore is enjoying a whiskey or brandy, can't remember which, and when you have an intimate moment. What constitutes an intimate moment for Moore? You know, what makes this moment intimate?
So I'm not sure, you know, where the relationship is, right, is the way you've said it previously, was that, you know, normally when they're out in the house or whatever, out on a job, they could be quite reserved together. Is there, do they talk much more freely, do you think, when they're just the two of them alone, having a sup?
So far, whenever Hence has been seated, Moore has been standing.
Yeah.
So maybe you are both sitting in those rather nice leather armchairs, looking much more relaxed.
I think, given their understanding, maybe, you know, he doesn't even look for permission to sit. He just sits, right? And not that he's being casual, but this is just their understanding that when it's just the two of them, they can kind of a little bit drop the master servant dynamic.
I like that. Hence, what do you talk about?
I mean, probably we're going to talk on several subjects. I definitely imagine that I mean, there's going to be some discussion about the case, about the haunting, of course, because that's, you know, that's where the night is going, to at least try to form a plan. But also, I think when you know, after the first glass is a mere memory of a sugar cube. I think I'll ask Moore if he's read any good history stories as of late. I do like to hear them. If he has any tales to recount.
I'm going to cut it there because I've realized I've gone slightly out of sequence. It was bound to happen. Because I want to cut to an apparently unconnected scene. We see a young woman, 18, 19, 20 maybe, clearly respectably dressed. And we see her leaving a house with her mother shouting after her, "Lydia, you will marry Edgar Thornton. His father will pay the debts." But clearly, Lydia is unhappy with this idea. And we see her thinking of a handsome but desperately poor chimney sweep. We maybe see her emerging from a room in the house with a smudge of soot on her cheek, followed by Samuel, the chimney sweep. And Lydia runs through London and approaches a less respectable house, it has to be said, outside which a blue lamp, not blue, that would say police, outside which a red taken, outside which a flickering candle is placed. And in the candlelight, it illuminates a plaque saying that this is Madame Delarco's fortune teller. Madame Delarco, fortune teller. Okay. What I want to do is to cut to Marta. Marta, as Lydia enters the home of the fortune teller, what do we see that is evidence of that this place contains real magic?
Yeah, what we'll see is you know, there'll be all sorts of you know, trappings that you expect, you know, beads and candles. But what we do is we see a medallion with some symbol in it, which we know is the sign of a secret true magic order.
Thank you. Just to explain what's happening here, in order to make London feel more like a character, there will each night be an unseen, something that doesn't involve you, though it could relate to you and what you do subsequently. And it could be, it will involve this kind of scene. And what I should have done, and sorry, Jason, what can I say? Is that after each of you has a scene, I should then go to an unseen. So I've started with Martha with that one. I'm going to go now to Hence, I think, and I'll alternate between the two scenes that you've been in. Hence, the first two cards drawn as Lydia sits off opposite Madame Del Arco. The first two cards in a 5-card spread are the Lovers and the Ace of Wands, the latter of which is typically associated with passion. Speaking in the voice of the fortune teller, begin telling Lydia what you see in the cards.
I see that you have an overwhelming, great romantic passion. That there is someone in your life that is giving you an intense, overwhelming, a romance for the ages.
Thank you. A romance for the ages. ... And then let me so what we've done here, I think, is that we've had Marta's scene, which is her setting up her vice. Angel has gone with her. We've had Hence set up her scene. Let's resolve that now, which is when you have an intimate moment. We've just understood what that looks like for you. Each of Moore and Hence clear a condition. I'm not sure Moore has one, but and then if it's your vice and it is Hence, would you stumble on a clue, or would you invite the other hunter to ask you about your past?
I think that stumbling on a clue is reasonable. I imagine that we're in the library of Hargrave House, and pull a book from one of the closed cabinets. One of the books that you don't want to show off, because this is where things that might be perhaps a little suspect are, but it's not, they're just hidden from view. They're not sort of sealed and locked away forever. And I'll pull out a slightly tarnished, a slightly singed volume that maybe has a sigil similar to that medallion that we saw in the unseen, and start perusing through that. As far as what clue that yields, I think that I think it's going to say something about the geomantic location of that particular house, and what perhaps kind of magic would be appropriate to that based on its location in as far back as Londinium.
I mean, keep it vague. Hence opens the book with the same sigil as in the unseen.
Oh, okay. We can just leave it at that. All right.
Leave it at that. Leave it at that. The more open you leave it, the more ways you can use it. So that works for me. That's fine. So now what I want to do is go to Moore, because Moore, so far, you've not had a move. You've been involved in another move, but it's not been your choice particularly. So you wanted to send a note, I think, to Brother Samuel.
Indeed.
So shall we resolve that move? You skim money from the Hargrave House account in order to maintain a network of spies and enforcers throughout London. When you put out a word that you need help from someone in your network, select one, Brother Samuel, and roll with presence.
Which is flat 0. Oh, and our poor vicar is probably no longer in this world. I just rolled a 4.
Oh, right. On a miss, word gets back to you that they are dead from violence, consumption, or worse. Cross them off the list.
I'm curious though, before like we just jump forward, I'm wondering, just for the sake of Moore's like XP, does Moore have a little like meeting where they give our vicar their orders?
Oh, that's a
Or
good
is it
point.
more that they don't hear back at all?
Well, I mean, I guess that's a question for you. Because there is a prompt for you, which is, did you have a scene showing your secret private life in London? So would you, I have no objection to you meeting Brother Samuel, and then we'll resolve his death. What
Sure.
does that meeting look like?
Or maybe that the location that we meet is part of Moore's. So maybe there's a club. Maybe poor old Samuel was once a chaplain in the army, and they served together. So there's a some kind of regimental club,
or even just a pub frequented by old soldiers.
Yeah.
What's the name of the pub?
I think it'll be something classic like the Red Lion.
Absolutely.
There's one on every corner.
There is, but only one of them has a back room where you and others of your ilk are welcomed. And so, what does Brother Samuel look like before we have him knocked off?
He is, I think, quite poorly. I think there is signs of maybe excessive drinking or some other kind of lifestyle malaise. Quite bedraggled and barely recognizable as a vicar. I think he is disgraced for a reason, and maybe that means he hasn't been able to keep up his typical attire, but still clean cut, right? That's part of the description for him.
And what was it you wanted him to do?
Well, I think maybe in the back room of the pub, we overhear Moore talking to another veteran about that time near Kandahar where there was definitely something out there, beyond the fire of their camp. And Brother Samuel, we recall Samuel doing something and we were never bothered again. And so I think the Moore's idea was to see if Samuel could help them out again on this thing. If getting rid of unwanted spirits is a skill, Samuel certainly had it.
And cut to where do we see Samuel when we cut to Samuel Moore?
Do we see him dead in the gutter? I mean,
I prefer him to be alive in the first instance, because I have a thought.
Okay, sure. I think we see him outside an alleyway along the back of a church in London, and he is greeting people who exit after a service. Maybe it's a midnight mass or something. And I think the reverend whose church it is shooting him evil glares, for maybe cutting in on his turf. But I think the few people who do have time for Brother Samuel seem fond of him.
Indeed, he's a sympathetic character, coughing into his handkerchief, perhaps. And as he goes off into the night, we will hear the sound of Cuban boot heels down the paving behind him. And Samuel looks behind him, and there's a distinctly American voice that says, "Sir, I believe you may have some information that I would find useful." And Samuel turns, and we see the glint of a bowie knife, and then cut, and Brother Samuel is found dead the following morning with his throat cut. Okay.
Okay.
So I think that and thank you, Stephen, for pointing it out. I should have done it before we got too far into this process, but by all means, use those dawn questions. Tick them when you think you hit them as an aid memoir. And did you experience an echo in the night? I can tell you that Hence has just experienced an echo in the night by referring to something from the unseen. But let me proceed with the unseen. Let me proceed to more, given that this has been quite an unpleasant time for you so far. The next two cards drawn are the Five of Swords, typically associated with violence, and the Fool, which represents the beginning of a journey. Continue the fortune teller's card reading.
And so I think this card is relatively violent, or at least on the precipice of violence. And the fortune teller tells Lydia, was it?
Lydia.
Yeah. That her choice of how to proceed may have grave repercussions for all involved, and that she must be careful of who she upsets by her choices.
I like that. And if I'd done this properly, the death of Brother Samuel would have constituted an echo in the night more. So please do mark echo in the night. The last card reading, I come to Angel. The last card drawn is the Devil, representing the seduction of the material world and other earthly pleasures. Continue your reading and then tell Lydia definitively what she must do.
Well, so yeah, and the devil is also kind of imprisonment. I think the woman looks at her and says, there is to be no succor for her in the world of the mortals, in the world of the day. That if she is to find that she must submit herself either to the demands of others or to the demands of something beyond.
Gosh. What is, tell me, Angel, what is the look on Lydia's face as she leaves the house?
I think it is one of someone who's become set in the course of her actions, that she's resolved not to accept this marriage, and thus she's resolved to find something else in to make some other promise to some dark power.
We see her look at the front of the house that she left and turn away from it. Thank you. And so the night scene is timed by those unseens. So the night scene just ended. Right?
Okay.
So it acts as a timer. So I will endeavor to meet your first wish for what happens in an unseen. But speculating beyond that, given the way that the phase of the game works, I think you're gonna struggle to get beyond one move or something similar, one resolution.
Okay, and we also didn't really get into what is an echo of the night.
Oh, an echo of the night is, for example, the fact that Hence referred to the sigil on the medallion at the fortune tellers that was indicative of true magic when they looked at that book.
Okay.
But the only person who hasn't had a scene of their own is Angel. So Angel, what do we see you doing after you leave the Turkish baths?
I think that we see Angel yeah, I guess that we see Angel, like, actually, I think actually we see Angel going down the city street, and just as the young woman is walking away from this fortune teller, we see myself step inside.
That works for me. Works for me. And that concludes our night phase. Dawn. Yeah. Let us now go and look at your dawn questions. Let me start with Hence. Did the hunters answer a question? Yes, you did. That is worth 1 XP. You have yet to resolve the threat at St. James's Street, but I think you did experience an echo in the night, Hence. So that's a 2nd XP. And you did perform a ritual in order to protect Mrs. Beale. So that is 3rd XP. Did you make love to a dark entity because it felt good? Not yet. So unmark the dawn questions, and you can select 2 different dawn questions from the 2 choices you have at the bottom there. Yeah, but you have 3 XP at this point. Moving along to the mother, Marta. You did answer a question, that gets you 1 XP. You did secretly engage in romantic or emotional behavior at odds with your aloof logical exterior. Yes, we saw that happen. I don't think that you experienced an echo in the night. Did you put your hands in a pile of guts and love every minute of it? No, you didn't. If you want to reselect either of those 2 dawn questions that are down to you, you can do so now. Moore. Yes, you did answer a question. Yes, you did experience an echo in the night. Poor brother Samuel did not die in vain. Did you have a scene showing your secret private life in London? Yes, you did. 3 XP. You can reselect from those the 2 dawn question lists that are specific to your playbook. And finally, Constance. Did the hunters answer the question? Yes, they did. Did you experience an echo in the night? Yes, you did. Did you encourage a fellow hunter to let loose for a change? Yes, you did. And did you stick out in London society for all the wrong reasons? I think that your entire approach to the Beales was entirely indicative of misunderstanding the reason that gentlemen's gentlemen carry their employer's card and present it at the door expecting to be let in. So I think that your unorthodox approach to the Beales did indeed mean you stuck out like a sore thumb. To the point where I did write to Jason that I thought he needed to include something in the rules about the rules of class. But no, you were absolutely spot on there. So with all that in mind, let's proceed with Dawn. Are there any playbook moves that you have that are resolved at Dawn? I'm just trying to think. Do we need to do your resurrectionists? Do we have to do anything about
Yeah, during the dawn phase, I acquire a body part for the child.
Pick a body part. There are you know, hair, eyes, heart, torso, arms, sex organs, feet, head, blood, lungs, guts, hands, legs.
Let's do guts.
Oh, right. Now bear in mind that as you receive these at the from your resurrectionists, bear in mind that that would count towards the next dawn question if you still have that selected.
Yep. Yeah.
And I think that each dusk phase pick 2. Yeah, no, I'm just right. No, I've got an idea for what happens at as a consequence of your grave robbers robbing graves. We'll come to that in a bit. Any other playbook moves that are unresolved? I don't think so. None come to mind. And I think all our Janus mask questions were also resolved before we got to here. Therefore, I will now present a new threat. I think that we will begin by seeing Moore collecting from the hall map the most recent copy of the Illustrated Police News. Let me just put that there. And in the Illustrated Police News, Moore, as you skim it before taking it into the breakfast room, is another story. You've noticed several of these more over recent days or weeks. Stories about the so-called creature of Cremorne Gardens, sometimes called the creature of Chelsea Harbour, and more rarely the creature of Chain Walk. The creature, described as a fish-like thing or a fishman, has been terrorizing pleasure seekers from the shadows at Cremorne Gardens, which is a combination of entertainment, circus, outdoor music hall, dance hall, located by the Thames in Chelsea. It's been giving a fright when glimpsed skulking about, but rarely making direct contact. Men and women alike have been lured to the end of a nearby pier by an apparently strange song while promenading, though with no memory of how they got there once the song's spell had ended. All of this, of course, could be easily chalked up to hysteria and perhaps some elaborate hoax by someone who either resents Cremorne Gardens or conceivably wants to attract people there. However, the most recent article in the Police News says that there has been a physical attack on a young couple, one Simon Piedmont and Beulah Thrum. Mr. Piedmont and Miss Thrum described how the creature leapt at them from a crouching position like a cat and tore at Miss Thrum's coat. Scotland Yard is investigating. I'm wondering, I think, Moore, I'm going to put this to you. You have a connection to Thomas Simpson, the proprietor of Cremorne Gardens, having perhaps worked there one summer. What was your job and what did you do to lose it?
Yeah, I think maybe I bounced there for a few months. I think maybe I bounced too hard, you know.
Right.
I may have broken the nose of the wrong gentleman.
Enough said. And were you to seek to, because the thing about this game is that there can be more than one threat in play at any one time. There can be up to 3 threats. And as it happens in this case, 3 threats plus the Pinkerton. So I am going to put the creature of Cremorne Gardens in play. And I've vastly overrun my normal break time. So I'm going to suggest we break now until hour. Okay? My apologies for the late break. Okay, back from our break, and we left it with Moore having spotted the next threat that Hargrave House has identified, the existence of what they're calling the creature of Cremorne Gardens. But I'm going to go round to everyone and see what you want to spend the day doing, because you are on something of a promise to the Beals to solve their ghost problem. Let me go first to Hence. Hence, what are you planning to do with today?
So correct me if I'm wrong, we can't actually answer that question to remove the ghost until we have enough clues, right?
Exactly, and the minimum number of clues are half the difficulty, and the difficulty for this is 6, so you have to have at least 3 clues, at which point you could try to answer the question.
Which technically we do have 3, but that we have, that would be at a -3, right?
Yeah, we'd be rolling at -3.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, right. And unfortunately, we can't get a large enough bonus to make a snake eyes not a 6-, but that's how that goes sometimes.
I mean, you can. I'll remind you. I
think we cap out at +4, right?
If all of you choose to invoke a Janus mask, you can improve the outcome on even and answer a question.
Right. Oh, and that is exactly what happened last session. It was like
Snake eyes.
Snake Eyes. we were rolling at like a +3 or +4, and I rolled snake eyes, and then
Look,
we
you
all
can't
spent.
resist the dark fate we're all doomed to. Hence,
Yes.
that's
Oh, I know.
Entirely
Mhm.
appropriate. So,
Yes.
with all that in mind, hence, what's the plan?
I think the plan is going to be to get familiar with this room. I think I'm gonna examine this room more carefully now that they've adjusted to the situation, and I think that see what I can see.
Moore, is it your intention to accompany your employer?
Well, I think we might have a conversation over breakfast about whether I can add anything in the Beale household, or whether I should at least break some ground on this new mystery, or this old mystery, which has just come to light. So,
okay. And Marta, any view about your
Any
plan?
view?
Any view for your plan?
Yeah, I think Marta is interested in the history of the house and the location. And so she is going to how about there is an old lady that Marta knows that seems to know history about London, or at least where to go.
I tell you what, I mean, there is actually a neighbor of the Beales who has lived there all her life, apparently.
Okay, excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. So door to door in St. James Street. And what about Angel?
How am I investigating? I think I'm likely, since we already got the folks with more intellectual mindset investigating this ritual, I think I'm likely doing some tracking and just checking out this place where the attacks were at recently.
Fine. So Moore and Angel are heading to Cremorne Gardens, while Marta and Hence head towards St. James's Street. Let's start at Cremorne Gardens. Oh, sorry.
Can I ask a quick question? Yeah. So the Pinkerton threat doesn't have any questions yet.
No.
But it is still an active threat, right?
It is.
So that is also something that's on our. We just don't know about it yet.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
We could. Okay.
So
we'll
it
get
could
questions
be,
when we find out about it then?
It could be that depending on where we go, I mean, for myself, I'm quite keen to keep the Pinkerton just doing unpleasant things in the background for a while, to be honest.
Okay, that sounds good.
Because I'm conscious of how long we've got to play with. And I want to try to ensure that you have a sense of completion, and completion for the Pinkerton may have dubious consequences for our American. So let's cut to Cremorne Gardens, where Moore and Angel probably travel there on the Underground Railway. And so you emerge from an Underground Railway station and head down to Cremorne Gardens. What can I tell you about Cremorne Gardens? Let's see. Yes. I think that the first thing as you approach Cremorne Gardens, which is quite a large area, a couple of football fields, I would have thought you could fit on here of any code. And I think that you can see these well manicured lawns, and there's a clear kind of promenade where you enter. And there's no cost to enter Cremorne Gardens. The various attractions or businesses on the site may well charge, but there's no charge to just go in and look around. It's partly why it's so popular, perhaps, that everyone can come and gawp. Neatly ordered flower beds. Clearly, this has been developed around some pre-existing park, because some of the trees are clearly older than Cremorne Gardens is. You see something truly beautiful more along the promenade. What is it?
I think there's a flower arrangement, which is not particularly notable. Maybe Moore doesn't particularly pay much attention to it, but we haven't established what time of the year it is, but I think it might be early spring, and I think there's a plethora of bumblebees out collecting nectar, and I think it's the first of Moore has noticed this year, and I think maybe he's a little bit distracted by it.
I like that. Bright spring sunshine, the sound of bumblebees. Some people like you, mid-morning, are out to promenade to simply enjoy this gorgeous spring morning. Fine. Angel, there's at intervals there are kind of lamps, not standard lamps, street lamps, gas lamps, most of which have got signs attached to them saying, this attraction this way, this attraction that way, and dancing, banqueting, the maze, chain walk for coffee, and what perhaps draws your attention, the American bowling saloon. Angel, where do we see you leading Moore initially?
Well, I mean, I feel like I came here to sort of investigate this creature. Where was it sighted about thereabouts?
It wasn't very specific in the article, so you may have to find someone to ask.
Yeah, I suppose that well, if there's gonna be an American anywhere, I suppose we might as well look around the American bowling garden.
Okay, so you head off to the saloon. Meanwhile, back at St. James's Street, Marta, we see you knocking on a neighbour's door, and the door is opened by, let me describe her, a Miss Head, who opens the door a crack and peers out, and she has tiny piercing eyes that kind of stare at you, soaking up every detail about you. And she says, yes.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Marta Weiss, and on behalf of the Beals, I was wondering if you had any information about that house that they're in.
Well, do come in. And
the
door opens.
Why, thank you.
She invites you in. Your observation about her hair is streaking in grey. She is wearing the black of a widow, tightly corseted, tightly corseted, perhaps too corseted for a woman of her years. She invites you through to her sitting room, where she rings a delicate bell, and a maid appears and is sent to make tea, because we know how much Marta enjoys tea.
Yes.
And it is almost it's the kind of setup that reminds us of that picture at Hargrave in the hall at Hargrave House. And she says, well, far be it for me. And at that point, we cut to Hence. Hence, you are, the impression I got was that you were heading for the Beals, but don't let me assume that. Hence?
Hey.
You there?
Sorry. So I'm going to. I'm probably just asking for quiet and just not to be disturbed for a few hours in the room. Just sort of say, saying some patter about I need to ensure that the quality of the space, I'm attuned to it before I can attempt anything.
That is absolutely fine, says Harold, and he ushers you upstairs and unlocks the door, and he says, "You should keep the key," and gives you the key because we know from yesterday reports
That
from
it
Marta, I think,
self-locks.
that it seems to lock itself, and he says, "Should I inquire after a certain amount of time?"
I'm assuming I'm there in the morning. At the noon hour.
Very good. And you can see Roger, his son, is kind of looking round the banister. And it's clear from Roger's that he thinks he's never going to see you again, or certainly not see you alive again. And Mrs. Beale, Alice, kind of, Roger, please, come, and takes him downstairs. You will have noticed that all of the windows on the ground floor have been boarded up, but
Right.
light still streams into that upstairs bedroom at the front of the house. What do we see you doing, Hence?
So first, I'm sort of walking the corners or the walls of the room, just feeling the walls. Sometimes sort of sniffing the air. I'm probably going to move the furniture a little bit so that I can get closer to the walls, which may involve which may not be something that I'm sometimes that may be a little precarious, but in any case, I want to sort of get a sense for what the room is without all the furnishings in it, even if I'm not removing them all.
That's fine. I do want to remind you all that because you answered the question yesterday, you do all have access to the ritual chamber move. It has a condition, it has a kind of specific setup attached to it, but do bear in mind you have that move available to you.
I don't currently meet the prerequisites, so.
Let me cut back to Angel and Moore as you approach the American bowling saloon. Even at this time of the morning, you can hear the thundering crash of bowling balls hitting their mark. And as you step in, pin boys dash to and fro. The slightly stilted sound of a barrel piano cranking out a jaunty tune. Let me ask, Angel, this place embraces Americana and the idea of the Wild West, but to an American, it would all seem a little off. How do we know that it is a little off?
I feel like all the servers are like heavily like made up. Like this is the sort of thing where like everyone is like wearing much more makeup and is much more like more closely dressed than anyone in real life would ever actually be.
They're caricatures of Americana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, that works. Let me see who is serving. Yes, there is a young man at the bar, and he's looking around a bit the way you look round, Angel, when you come in here, as if to say, this is no place like home. This is absolutely no place like home. And there's something about the cut of his jacket that identifies him as an American. What do you do, Angel?
I come over and take a seat at the bar and say, "A whiskey for me and another for my stiff-lipped friend over there."
Moore, do you join them at the bar, or do you have other plans? You're going to get a whiskey, come what may.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean the sun is over the yardarm somewhere in the world, so
A suitably imperialist approach, absolutely.
So yeah, I'll not say. I mean, bourbon isn't to anyone noteworthy's taste, but I'll drink it.
I think what you'll discover more is that it's the bottle is labeled bourbon, but as the slight kind of grimace on Angel's face reveals, whether that is bourbon in the bottle is an open question. Spirituous liquor of a cheap variety is probably what you sense more. So Angel, how do you, how you going to open conversation with this chap at the bar?
I take it from the from the look that you're a fellow countryman far from home.
Well, it is something of a relief to hear that voice. And he holds out his hand and says, James Whistler, Jim to my friends.
Constance O'Neill, and I'll call you Mr. Whistler for now. I don't quite know if we're friends yet.
Oh, Miss O'Neill, I meant no presumption. He is a cultured man. You would identify him more with the kind of East Coast upbringing that we've heard you describe, rather than your Wild West adventures. And Whistler is an artist, and he lives just across the way on Chain Walk, and comes here to paint. And you notice that it is the other side of the stool he sat upon. There is indeed a little pack, a small portable easel and pack of paints.
What brings you here to this land of pompous blowhards? Oh, no offense, Mr. Moore.
Well, I came looking for inspiration and a patron, if I'm honest. And lots of people at home are painting home. So I thought I'd leave home and paint abroad.
I understand. I have something of a similar bent. I was something of a shootist back home, but you know how it is. One can be a very famous, a very well-known figure in a very little country, or one can be be someone of importance in the wider world. So I decided to travel out myself. And it's I'm looking to make something of a name for myself here. I mean, I go by the Angel on stage. Perhaps you heard of me, but I'm looking for anything of interest that round these parts.
Good
and
grief.
I am feeling him out.
You're Angel O'Neill.
Yeah.
That shootist from the shows back home?
One and the same, friend.
Well, it is indeed a doubly a pleasure to meet you, Miss O'Neill. I saw you shoot in New York.
And I pull out my gun. Would you care for a demonstration of skill?
At which point, the barman and to step back, and Whistler says, Miss O'Neill, customs are different here. I would keep your gun holstered.
Well, all right, but just mark my word. If you ever want a demonstration, I'm more than willing.
More as the American,
a friendly one, not like I won't be shooting at you. You understand?
Oh, I do. But you might like to seek out Mr. Simpson, who runs this place, while you can, actually, because my neighbors will do everything they can to close this place down. They think it's noisy and vulgar, but it is one of the most interesting and exciting places in London, to my view. And I think they are just stupid and stuffy. but they will do all they can to stop this place getting a license in a couple of months' time. Moore, do you interject in the conversation, or do you have other plans?
I guess I wonder who Mr. Whistler's neighbors are precisely, who are so against this place, this wonderful place.
The truth is, and you will have introduced yourself, Mr. Moore, is that I think that whichever door on Chain Walk you knock upon, you will find someone with a complaint about Cremorne Gardens.
I'm shocked that these class of people don't want this in their backyard.
What can I tell you? I mean, they are short-sighted. There is no question about that. And of course, all this fuss in the newspapers is not doing any good.
Yeah, well, maybe we should go visit Mr. Simpson.
Are you not inclined, Mr. Moore, to pump Whistler for anything he might know about these events in the newspapers?
I mean, I was trying myself to try to pump him, and that's why I was brought up my posters to try to my career to tap those. But I'll let Moore. Sorry, I don't want to take.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was
both of you
saying.
Have a go. We'll go to Moore first, just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, I think perhaps speaking of pompous blowhards, Mr. Whistler seems like he's very fond of holding at length on any topic, whether he is an expert or not. So
Indeed.
I think my saying that we are going to speak to Mr. Simpson about it might prompt him to want to give his version of the tale first, and maybe come to someone's attention.
I think that speaks of a degree of cunning on Moore's part. So I think reason is what I'm going to ask you to roll the information move with.
Yeah. Okay. So let me pick up these dice, which have done me no favors today so far. Well, that is a 7.
Okay, so 7 to 9, there's a complication, either with the clue itself or a complication you encounter while searching. I'll give you a clue, and I think the clue I will give you is that I think the clue that I will give you is that there are numerous reports of drunken disorderly behavior. That is principally what Chain Walk is complaining about. So can you put that in, reports of drunken and disorderly, into the clue in that threat, please, while I go back to Angel and find out from Angel what line of inquiry or her approach. Because so far I'm thinking that you are using, oops, sorry, there we go.
I think I'm using presence.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that charm, charisma.
And I think that I'm trying to dazzle him, get him to talk up the area, make him and this walk sound more important than it is, to get any of the uncanny stories of the place, to impress this clear celebrity that's walked into his saloon.
Indeed.
And I'm tapping my personal quarter item posters of my past career. Like, I don't literally have them with me, but I'm invoking my past career here, and that seems.
No, that seems absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So you will roll with advantage +1.
Right. Let me roll these 2 die. Well, let me add 1 more die. And let me re-roll these 2.
Oh, well, look at that. 3 5s. So that is an 11. Now, on an 11, there is a 12 plus on the Mastermind move. Just so you know, Angel, are you tempted to increase this to 12 plus, which would give you a Mastermind clue?
I think I've hit so many. I think I had to hit so many last week that I think I'm gonna be a little bit close to the vest this time around.
Okay. Let me see what I can tell you. I think what I'll tell you is that the funny thing about these stories is that some people think that it's not real. And I'm a realist. I believe, I'm not convinced it's real, but But I did hear tell of some oily fish scales found near where this young couple had some difficulties. So the clue is oily fish scales. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a complication in hand. I'm just going to keep that for a moment while I cut to Marta having a conversation with Constance Head. And it wouldn't be neighbourly of me, Miss Weiss, not to at least pay attention to what happens on this street. Indeed, it would be entirely improper for me not to it would be not community minded for me to ignore the goings on at number 18.
Oh, and I'm sure everyone appreciates this very much. I mean, that's why I'm here.
Well, I did wonder whether anyone had sent you to me because I do have something of position in the local community. How can I help you?
Well, there's some weird things going on at the Beale household. And as you know, these things just don't start randomly. And so I was curious about that house, if there was a history that might explain what the Beales are currently suffering from.
Let me see what I can help you with here. She will tell you of an occasion when the Bentleys were still living there, the people who lived here before the Beales. And she was in the back garden taking a walk around her garden. And she looked up and distinctly saw Mrs. Bentley looking out of the window. And being a good neighbor, she waved to Mrs. Bentley. Mrs. Bentley, first of all, seemed to ignore her and then looked shocked and backed away from the window as though she'd seen something odd. And when later I apologized if I had shocked her when we met on the street, she told me she hadn't seen me, but she said it was odd. It was as though one of the pictures in the room had been reflected on the window. So the appearance was that the window had looked out on a different location. And the clue is a window that looks out on a different place. Yeah? Hence, what do we see? We see you sitting, just taking in the atmosphere in this room. I think that I'd like you to roll for information with sensitivity, because that seems to me what you're trying to tune into the spirits of this, aren't you?
No, that sounds good.
Go ahead.
All right. Got it.
That looks like an 8 to me.
It's a +1, so it should be a 9.
Okay. Again, I will ask if you want to improve that to a 10 by donning a mask.
I'm
just dangling the ritual
you
in
know,
front of you.
yeah. I should probably just yes, do that. And it's a good excuse for me to don the cosmic passage. Which there's no doubt that's has consequences, but
it does. Go ahead. So your sensitivity will increase by 1, but your reason will decrease by 2.
Okay, and I guess I have to make those adjustments manually. Got it.
Yes, you do. Yes, I kind of expect everything, but I don't think Drew has built everything to automate.
Yep. Oh no, I check before I do it because I don't know.
Then what you do then is increase that to a success, and the clue that I will give you.
And actually, it's your call. I guess technically that +1 to the roll itself doesn't happen until after the roll.
Oh no,
so.
no. No,
Right.
but you have increased from 9 to 10.
Yes.
10 plus.
Mhm.
So you get the clear with no complications. I think that as you are contemplating the room, the mirror in the room cracks in a strange pattern. Is it lace, star, spiral, or something else? Hence.
I think it's a spiral pattern. And I'm
Fine.
assuming I'm not anywhere near the window when it breaks.
No, no. So
Okay.
will you add that mirror cracks in a spiral pattern is your clue. Do you know, I've had this sudden blank. Marta, did I ask you to roll for that clue or did I just give it to you? I'm sorry. Would you?
I think Marta's so awesome. She just nailed it.
Yeah. Can I have you retrospectively roll with presence, please?
Sounds good. Oh, wait, I gotta refresh. Something weird happened on the roller.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Rolling. What? Double ones.
To a full 3. So I've given you the clue. There's no problem with that. But I think that I will tell you that the temperature in that room drops like a stone. And we see ice forming on the top of the tea that you were drinking from, the cup you were drinking from. And I'm going to give you a condition, chill to the bone, unless you want to put a mask on and have me rewind that description.
Yeah, we'll do chilled to the bone. I think I lose ghoulish because I'm done with the resurrectionists, or is that still there?
Oh no, that's there. That you're
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you will have to undertake some process to be rid of ghoulish.
Sure, let's chill to the bone.
But what is strange, Marta, is that Miss Head is entirely unaffected. She continues to talk and talk and talk and talk. Let's go back to Cremorne Gardens. Based on what you know so far, what are you inclined to do next, Moore?
I have a feeling that we have gotten most of what we're going to get out of Mr. Whistler for now. Right? We've got 2 clues out of him. So maybe it's time to go visit Mr. Simpson.
And as you step out of the saloon, the pair of you, Angel, are you going with Moore to Simpson, or do you have other plans?
Well, where did he mention that? Did he mention specifically where they found those fish scales?
Yes, I'll let you go there. Yeah, by all means. It's down by the river.
Yeah.
Towards let me get this right. Yeah, towards Chain Walk, which is down next to the river, overlooking the river. So you're going to head in that direction. Moore is heading to find Mr. Simpson because you know Simpson, Moore. But Moore, as you leave the saloon, you almost bump in to a pipe smoking gentleman in a crisp tweed overcoat, wearing a deerstalker. You recognize D.I. Pettigrew of Scotland Yard. Mr. Moore, what are you doing here?
Well, can a gentleman take a walk on a crisp spring morning, or are we all expected to be here professionally?
I need to know if anyone has marked the darkened threshold. I don't think you have.
I think I actually, let me double check this.
No, you're on the moss-covered gate.
Oh, right, that's it.
Okay, that's okay, because it matters to Pettigrew. Now, strangely, I was down here looking for that Mr. Simpson. But before coming here, I stopped off at that house, that Hargrave House of yours, in search of, well, Dr. Weiss. Has she
Well-
been up to her old tricks again?
Her old tricks?
Oh, come on, Mr. Moore. Another body dug up.
Well, I think I thought you'd stamped out grave robbing.
Well, I would if it weren't for Hargrave House.
Well, I assure you that, as far as I'm aware, Dr. Weiss is is one of the most skilled scientific minds of her generation, and we all do what we have to in pursuit of our professional code of conduct.
Well, it always seems to me when you've got a choice of the organ grinder or the monkey, you should talk to the organ grinder. Where is she?
Oh, well, thanks, Pettigrew. And with an attitude like that, you're not going to get much out of me. I heartily recommend the bourbon. Top-notch stuff, Pettigrew.
Are you obstructing the police in the pursuance of their duties, Mr. Moore?
I am not. I'm pointing you towards a service that you might avail of.
I think I need you to do the day move, please, Moore.
Okay.
So tell me what you're afraid will happen if this goes badly wrong.
I guess he might think we're all involved in this kind of shenanigans, right?
Okay. Okay.
So
and so I think this is resolve because you're holding your own against him, aren't you?
composure?
Composure,
Yep.
not resolve. Yeah. Thank you.
So let me reroll. Oh, well, finally, the worm turns an 11.
An 11.
Yeah.
On a hit, you do what you intended or you hold steady. Describe what this looks like more, unless you want to put on a mask and improve it to 12 plus.
I wonder what do I get for a 12 plus?
And the keeper will tell you some extra benefit or advantage you receive. Describe what it looks like.
No, I think maybe I tell him that, how about I have a word with the doctor, and if she is responsible, I'm sure she will have no problem telling me, and we'll sort it out.
Well, you just tell her that if this happens again, I'll have a load of bobbies going over that place with a fine tooth comb.
Well, if I were you, and I've heard things in those hallways you wouldn't believe, I think the whole College of Surgeons is rife with grave robbers. But maybe
Yeah,
they're
well,
the right kind of people.
Well, there might be something to that as well, Mr. Moore. I thank you for your assistance. Good day to you. And I think because you rolled well, I don't think he is going to go and see Simpson now. He's been distracted by Dr. Weiss and your conversation, and will go and bother somebody else for a period of time. But D.I. Pettigrew will want to speak to Marta at some point. He's not a threat, but he's an annoyance who's in play. So Angel, yeah, down towards Chain Walk. It's down towards a steamer quay beside the Thames. And there are a couple of coffee houses there. You can smell the beans. What do we see you doing when you get down to Chain Walk, Constance?
I think that Constance is like, when you say Chain Walk, like, is there a bank on the other side of the chain, or is it like more of a pronounced drop?
Okay, so it's chain as in CHEYNE rather than a chain. I should have made that clear. The street along the harbour and just a few hundred feet from Cremord Gardens will become the centre of an artistic movement in London in a few short years. What do you see right now that hints at this future?
I think that we see a variety of street artists selling their paintings and whatnot.
Fine. And from what Mr. Whistler said, it was down towards the steamer key that that these scales were found.
Right. And a steamer key in the sense is, as a reminder,
Just a boardwalk running out into the Thames,
right.
at the end of which some steamers kind of dock to let people on or off.
Right. I think I'm going along the docks, and I'm keeping an eye out for anything of out of the ordinary, seeing if I can't cite anything like this Mr. What's his name said.
Fine. I'm conscious that do we want another break now, or do you want to play to completion, so to speak? Thumbs up for play to completion.
I'm fine with it, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, because I've got my breaks entirely wrong today. I apologize. So yeah, let's have you wander along there. As you are approaching, down the river, you can see a steamer coming up river towards you, Angel, and you know, the hooter goes, but when the hooter stops, it's almost like there's an echo, and you can hear it sounds like almost a subsonic, just below the level of hearing, some notes, some sounds, some song. What do you do?
I think I stopped to listen.
Would you, I think we're rolling the day move here. There was some mention in the article of a strange song,
Right.
and that people near the end of appear by a strange song while promenading, though with no memory of how they got there once the song's spell, inverted commas, ended. So what could go wrong here?
I think that I will be ensorcered and wake up somewhere else.
So let's roll the day move. I think this is probably about, well, you tell me. I think it's either vitality or composure.
Oh, vitality? I was going to say like composure or sensitivity.
Oh, that's a good point. I think you're probably right, because that's what we think it is, isn't it? So take your pick.
Yeah, I think it's the same. So I think it's probably sensitivity in this case.
Okay, how susceptible to this spell are you?
Yeah. That's a 9.
Would you like to increase it to a 10?
I'll see what the consequences are, then I'll
make a choice. Okay. On a 79, the keeper will tell you how your actions could leave you vulnerable, and you can choose to back down or go through with it. I think that the Pinkerton is on that steamer, and you could find yourself when you come to at the end of the dock, seeing the Pinkerton step off the ship.
Oh, I'm definitely going with that then.
I thought you might find that an attractive complication. And I think that's what we'll see. We will see that you're walking down this, walking beside the Thames. You see the steamer approaching, and then you wake up. The steamer is pulled up. You're at the edge of the kind of gangplank that people are walking down. Half a dozen people are stepping off, and last is our Pinkerton friend. Give me some feature that says instantly to you, this is a Pinkerton.
I think that his coat, I can see that his coat's riding wide and heavy. I can tell that he's got some firearms, some concealed firearms hidden inside of his coat. That you're not You don't go around with concealed firearms like that unless you're a paid killer like the Pinkertons are.
And he walks past you. He walks past you and heads up the dock. But you can see him reach inside his coat and he takes out what looks like a photograph and kind of looks at it and then heads off towards Cremorne Gardens. What do you do, Angel, if anything?
I trail after him.
I think I think we're edging into night. I know it's day, but I think in the circumstances, a heavily armed man being followed may be moving into night move territory, just so you're aware.
Okay.
Marta, you have the condition now chilled to the bone. What are you, but you sense you've got all you're going to get from Miss Head. What's the plan now? Oh, you'll need to touch your ear.
There we go. Let's see for a second. Reference. She so I got everything I can get from her. I'm kind of curious about this cold stuff appearing.
Because when you look down, the ice that was beginning to form on top of the tea is gone, but you are physically chilled to the bone,
Right.
to the point of and Miss Head says, Miss Weiss, are you entirely well? You look rather pale. And there's a fire in the hearth because it's not a warm spring day, it's a bright spring day. But you are getting no warmth from that at all.
Yeah. So I think what she'll do is she'll make note of this and I'll thank her very much, and that you know, she's doing God's work and keeping on top of the neighborhood, and you know, I want to do what I can to help the Beale family. They seem like a wonderful family that's undergoing a lot.
And her eyebrow rises slightly, but she will see you out at that.
All right.
Hence, after that mirror cracks, what do we see you doing?
So I'm sort of taking that happening as an indication that that's sort of part of a nexus of something that I can start putting together a ritual space for. So you know, I'm setting up a circle and laying out candles. You know, I might should I use those black candles? Yeah, probably.
I'm curious whether you're inclined now to make use of the move, the ritual chamber move, because you did mark cosmic
I
passage.
am, but I'm setting it up.
Okay.
Right.
So cosmic, the ritual chamber is on its way, so to speak.
Yes, I'm planning to do ritual chamber. I want to set it up. I'm using the candles that I brought with me from Hargrave House. And I'm setting up a circle because if I'm going to be conjuring the ghost to inquire questions of it, then that is yes. Then so and of course the correct time to do this is the one of the what is it? As lore would have it, the veil between the world of the living and the dead is weakest in the wee hours of the morning, and at the and shortly after the clock strikes noon, as it were.
Okay.
There's a gap at noon that allows one to do these sorts of things.
Okay.
So
I'm going to see you setting those candles out. Perhaps, yes. Given the description that we had last time of the previous carvings that were in the floor, I'm going to think that you are setting out these candles around that ring. But then I want to cut to Mr. Moore as he approaches Mr. Simpson's, the proprietor's office. Rather small, well-oiled moustache, thinning hair, You know him to be nervous and excitable. That's probably why he let you go, Moore. You caught him on a bad day. So yes. So tell me what approach you take to Mr. Simpson.
I think Moore just rocks up to his office and knocks and waits for the answer. Whatever the answer is, he's opening and entering.
Yeah, come in. And he doesn't look up initially. He's busy at some papers, piles of papers over the desk. Do you draw attention to yourself?
I draw my attention to myself by sitting in the chair opposite, putting the bowler hat down on the sheaf of papers.
And he looks at you and he says, "I know you, Moore. I sacked you, Moore."
You did indeed, and thank you very much for your service.
You're looking surprisingly well.
Well,
he's appraising you. The crisp suit we've talked about, the bowler hat.
Well, we all land on our feet in different ways. Simpson, you should know that as well as I.
And he leans back and kind of swings on the chair and looks at you and says, "Well, it may well be true, Moore. I think I might well have done you a favor. You're looking you must be bouncing at some very select places these days."
Well, I wouldn't say I'm bouncing anymore, really. I'm serving a greater purpose.
What, the church?
No, but tell us this. We haven't seen you at the Red Lion recently, have we?
Oh, I haven't got time for that kind of stuff, Moore. I've got a business to run. This business is getting bigger every year.
And I hear your neighbors are no fans.
Oh, they're just sticking them out.
They object to a little bit of assault on the premises, do they?
More. Sometimes, as you well know, things get out of hand. But we run a tight ship here. We always did. The fact that you overreacted that time was entirely out of character with Cremorne Gardens, and that's why I let you go.
So what are you doing about this most recent, what are we calling it? Mermaid attack?
Oh, come on. Look, it's becoming annoying. I will grant you that. But this is clearly a story put up by the people who want to close me down.
I bumped into D.I. Pettigrew outside the saloon.
Oh,
I mean, I sent him on his way, so maybe I've bought you a little bit of time.
Well, you've done me no harm there. The man is an officious idiot, and the fact that he is drawn into these lies told by this couple is entirely in character with my experience of Scotland Yard. Talk about going for the simple answer or an easy case. Egads.
Well, why don't you help me get to the bottom of the story, and I can use my influence with Pettigrew to steer him towards those who would waste his time with scurrilous lies.
That sounds like a reasonable approach. And so let's have you roll the information move.
Okay. Okay. So I wonder if, because I think I introduced the fact that maybe, although he doesn't have time for us, he is a fellow veteran.
Okay.
If we expect to see him at the Red Lion.
Okay, that is true. Are you invoking your military medal?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll go with that. Maybe that's why you got the job with him in the first place.
Yeah. He knew I was a good man in a scrape or something like that.
So I think you're rolling with advantage with reason.
Okay, so let me roll an extra die. Okay, which is a 6, and we roll the other 2. Okay, that is 13. So.
Oh my. Oh, 13, eh? So, so this goes terribly well, doesn't it? You certainly will get a clue. I will give you a clue, which is his reason for believing this is all tosh, and it is a set of clothes hastily removed in an unusual place. So, if you want to add that to the list of clues, in an unusual place. But on a 12 plus, you also find a mastermind clue. Now, what can I throw at you? Yes, you will notice a very distinctive card, yeah, in the sense of visiting card, on to one side of his desk. What makes it distinctive is that it is sapphire blue, richly sapphire blue, a deep, deep sapphire blue, edged in gold, and printed in embossed gold is the name T. Braithwaite. I'll add that to the mastermind clues. A sapphire visiting card in the name of T. Braithwaite. There we go. And you've got the clue. Let's cut back to Marta. Are you going round to the Beals? Oh, you are muted.
Yep, I was thinking, well, one question. So you said he invoked his medal.
Yeah, if you go down to your personal quarters.
Yeah.
If you can find a way to reference one of those, it's a tick once and throw away. So once you've used them, you've used them. But if you can find a way to involve your one of those things, then you will roll with advantage.
Although
excellent.
one of the advances is also you get to untick all of your ticked personal quarters items. So like you want to like clear them so that taking that advance is actually valuable.
Gotcha.
And
Cool.
bear in mind, when you resolve a threat, you also get some rewards, which will add to your personal quarters.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was, and it looks like there is no really helping move. Is that correct?
There isn't.
Okay. Yeah, I'll head to the, actually what I want to do is I want to go to the garden and look at this window.
Rather than go into the room and look out at the garden.
Well, the person in the garden saw something weird, right?
No, the person in the garden looked up and saw the house occupant not see them, but appear shocked. And afterwards told Miss Head that she was caught off by seeing the reflection of a painting in the room.
Gotcha. So yeah, I will go and look out that window. Yeah.
Okay, so Mrs. Thicket, the cook, will let you in and says, "Oh, your friend, Mister, they're upstairs." She clearly doesn't know how to deal with the they them pronoun. She is confused by that. But she will usher you into the back bedroom on the first floor that overlooks the back garden. And you can have a look around in there if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock on the door and just let know Hence that I'm in the house.
Hence, you are setting up the ritual. Do you notice Marta?
Yes. I mean, I'm at the preparation side. I'm not sort of entranced into anything yet.
Okay.
So I will say, oh, good. Did you discover anything in your excursions?
We'll see. Let me. I gotta look out a window.
Okay. Which window?
I don't know which.
The back window.
Back
this
window.
room has a front window.
Gotcha. I mean, it'll be a window that looks back on the garden.
Hence,
I will tag along. Make sure the key is in my pocket, and I will.
Okay.
You
Walk
did
over
have
to
to
this
unlock
other-
it actually when Martha
Yes,
knocked you.
when Martha knocked. Yes.
And so you go into the back first floor bedroom, or second floor for you, I think, and look out at the garden, or look around the room. Let's start with Martha. Let's have you roll the information move.
Okay, information move. Is that get a plus or?
I think that probably this is reason at work because you're looking around here. You're kind of investigating the room, aren't you?
Yes. All right.
So I think it's roll with reason.
Reason, +1. $12.
Will you look at that? Rock and roll. So on a 12 plus, I will give you a clue, which is that you notice that the clocks are all turned to the same wrong time.
All right.
You noticed this in the hall, but you paid no attention. But the clock in this room is also turned to the same wrong time. And I'm deliberately not telling you what that time is. Right? That's for you to decide. Add that to the clues. Hence, I'll let you have a look around this room as well. What kind of approach are you taking? The studied approach of Martha or a more esoteric approach?
Yeah, I'm going to try to find an appropriate chair that will suit me awkwardly at best, but still and position myself to look out the window, and then sort of let my my gaze diminish and let let the voices bounce around and whisper their suggestions.
I think that that what is clear is that the picture of the country scene on that wall cannot be reflected in this window. It simply is impossible. So it's not the explanation that the former Mrs. Bentley put to Miss Head. So let's have you roll the information move with sensitivity.
Okay.
Which I think is now +2. That is an 11. Would you like to make that a 12?
I think I'm okay with an 11 right now. I'd like to save that for. I'm still hoping to contact the spirit next.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
And I will use a mask for that, I'm sure.
Okay.
Oh, do I get a mastermind clue?
You are due a mastermind clue. I'm just holding that one back for a minute.
No problem. No problem.
Let me see what. I think that what you see is what is reflected in that window, hence, is a glass figurine of a tiger. And as you look at the window and kind of let your vision kind of lose focus to see what you will see that fall from the shelf and shatter. So add a glass tiger shatters. Yeah. And Constance, we cut back to you following the Pinkerton. I think we are in night move country here because we have 2 armed and dangerous individuals at work. So I will just confirm that you want to follow him. Name what you're afraid will happen if you fail or lose your nerve, Angel.
I think that he'll draw on me, I guess, is what I'm worried.
And the keeper will tell you how it's worse than you fear. It is that there is a second one behind you.
Okay.
You can choose to back down or go through with it.
Nah.
Go through with it, it is. So I think this is about vitality, isn't it?
Sure, sure.
Because that's where your reflexes sit.
Let me hop on over to here. That's an 11.
On 10 plus, you do what you intended or you hold steady. Describe what that looks like. He does not know you're there. He does not draw on you. There is not a second Pinkerton. What do we see you doing that captures this success? Like, do you want to see where he goes, or?
Yeah, I think I wanna see where this fella goes off to.
I think that he heads towards the Hedge Maze. Towering hedges that seem to block you off from the outside world, stone benches and fountains, the occasional animal. Do you want to follow him into it?
Yeah.
Of course you do. Unbeknownst to people entering for the first time, the Hedge Maze is designed to scare patrons. What frightening display do you see when you turn a corner?
I think I see like a snarling sculpted wolf, and I like draw on it before realizing it's just a sculpture.
Oh, I think you just triggered the day move, because the concern would be that you did actually fire at it. I think.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I think it's about whether your hand-eye coordination is quick enough to stop yourself doing the routine thing. So
I'm curious, like, I don't know if it's helping, but I am invoking my gun.
Oh, sorry, sorry, you should roll 3d6 and add, I think composure, given it's a scare.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Yeah.
That is 7.
A 7. On a 7, you don't fire, but there is that large click as you cock the revolver, and it's like a crack in the spring morning. If you go through it, the keeper describe what you can choose to back down or go through with it. If you go through with it, the keeper describes what it looks like. So you could be, somebody might know that there's a gun being cocked in here.
Yep, let's go with that.
Talk about desperately wanting this guy to pull a gun on you.
I mean, I get XP for it. I get XP.
I know. You are desperate to shoot at something, and so far you're rolling too well. So Moore, after Simpson, where do you head?
I mean, I guess the most obvious place for me to go is down to this point, this unusual place where the clothes were removed from, right?
Right. The Hedge Maze.
The Hedge Maze, okay. Shock horror.
Where, as you approach the Hedge Maze, you see Angel determinedly follow someone into the Hedge Maze. Yeah?
Okay, well, I suppose I must enter myself.
So we have Moore and Angel in the Hedge Maze. And let's cut back at that point to Marta and Hence. You've seen what you can see in this back room. I think you currently are sitting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clues, if you can tie them all together. But you have yet a ritual to do, the ritual of the chamber. So I'm curious, Hence, will you involve Marta in that? or is this something you have to do on your own?
I think I can involve Marta in it, but I'm going to ask her if she wants to see something unnerving.
She's she's like, I'm already unnerved, so let's see what I don't think it can really do much to me. So she's dismissive that something could be even, she thinks she's seen it all now. So yeah, she's
As she hugs her arms and tries to warm them.
exactly, yeah.
And so who has the
I'm
key?
I do.
Fine. So hence, what is this?
I'm gonna add, before we go back into that room. Sorry?
No, go ahead.
Before we go back into that room, I'm going to ask our cabbage expert, the cook, whose name escapes me momentarily,
Mrs. Thicket.
For a piece of raw meat on a plate.
You keep that away from the dog, madam.
It's not for me.
Just keep that away from the dog. And yes. She gives you a piece of liver on a plate.
Oh, very good.
Blood
better than
pooling around it.
Okay.
On the bone china.
I will hand the plate over to Marta. I just hold this during the course of the ritual, and everything will probably be okay.
Okay. Let's do it.
So
okay. So we go into. I unlock the door to the Nexus room, and make sure it stays open long enough for Marta to get in.
Okay. And then what do we see? What does it look like when you invoke a ritual like this? I think we got a sense of it last time with Salt and Smoke.
Right. So yes, I have placed myself. So I placed a spot for me on the floor. There's a reasonable spot for Martha to sit, holding up the plate in front of her, and there is an arrangement of candles. It's not precisely a circle. It is in fact in a spiral arrangement. It's not like the five that's 10 points of a pentagram. It's a tilted 5 points or 10. It's still, it's bent in a direction, as it were, in the 10 candles. And so in a particular order, I will light each of them and then settle down on sort of one node of this sort of ellipsoid circle, with Marta in the other node. And then I won't be chanting. I will be breathing and sort of closing my eyes and as though talking to something in my mind, and then I will open my mouth and something not breath-like at all, with sort of flowing like air, but Icarus and a little bit almost like with a buzzing sound to it, comes out of my mouth and looms and spirals over the plate, and the meat begins to decay and to bubble a little bit as the liver is consumed by this, and my eyes open, and I say something in a tongue that is not discernible to Marta, but in voice of a command, and the shape, the sort of misshapen form, extends out into this branching cup-shaped filigree of
At
ichor.
This point, I think
Yes.
Let's see how the dice goes, and then we'll see what happens.
Yes. Right.
So,
well, this is the summoning point. So
indeed. So you're using the candle, so 3d6 plus sensitivity. Oh my! Will you look at that? 12 plus. Sadly, for this move, there is only a 10 plus. So on a hit, a ghost will appear and answer a single question you pose to it, or perform a small task, your choice. Any answers it gives will be in the form of a clue at the keeper's discretion. But Marta, what does this ghost look like? This assault on your rational mind.
Yeah. I would say this ghost is dressed like a medieval peasant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you do? A single question, or ask it to perform a small task, hence.
I think I want to know I want to understand its motivations. I want to, so I'm asking, why do you haunt this place? I feel like I can't ask, what do you want from us, because that's actually the question. So I don't think I can answer that with
No,
this
you
move.
can't. You're right.
Right. So
and I think what you don't get an answer, but a wind emerges from nowhere in the room and whips around that spiral of candles, from the inside to the outside. They all go out. They go out one after another. Ba, 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 and sheets of paper fall out of nowhere into the center of the room. And the clue is a stack of love letters from another time. Okay.
Okay, very good. I'll write that down.
Moore, you followed Constance. Constance is following the person she's convinced is the Pinkerton. Constance, are you looking to confront the Pinkerton?
Yeah, I probably am. I think with the consequence, he's probably noticed me at this point.
That would be your concern. So how do the audience know that you are concerned that he knows you're coming after him?
I think we see me like kind of huddle up to the hedge in a kind of looking for cover pose, and like gun drawn, peeking around the corner.
Fine. And what I'm seeing, I think, is Moore coming around one corner, seeing you flattened and looking around the next corner. And that's where you see the Pinkerton facing you, with his coat drawn back and his revolver revealed. Do you wait for him to speak, Angel, or do you draw on him?
I'm gonna wait for him to speak.
Miss O'Neill, I am here as a representative of your father. I had not expected to bump into you today, but I'm glad I did. This can end simply, or things could get complicated. What is your preference, Miss O'Neill?
Well, it depends on what we're calling simple. The way I see it, it's just you and me here, and it don't get more simple than that.
Moore, you hear this. Angel clearly doesn't know you're there yet. Do you do anything?
Well, I mean, either Angel doesn't know I'm here, or she is just implying to the Pinkerton that they're definitely alone. but I think having been an employee of this place, I may know exactly how to get behind the Pinkerton.
Oh, let us have you roll the day move, and you will be behind the Pinkerton. I think this is probably reason, because it's remembering and working it out. Or have you got another
Sure.
alternative?
No, that sounds fine to me.
What could go wrong?
I could get lost. Maybe they've changed the layout since.
or step out in front of him?
Yeah, or be on the wrong side. Yeah. I mean, something horribly can go wrong. So let me re-roll. Okay, so that is a 10.
Oh, wow. So you are now around a corner in sight of the back of the Pinkerton. Yeah?
Yeah.
Angel, he says, Miss O'Neill, I have no instructions to kill you. I have instructions to take you home.
Afraid the place, afraid home isn't exactly back with my family. And I think that I draw out from my cover and shoot.
Okay, let's have you roll with vitality. You have your revolver, so you get advantage. I think this is a night move. He is going to shoot to wound.
Okay.
There is the distinct possibility if this goes badly wrong, he could kill. But
that's fair.
This mask awaits.
Okay, let's...
Is it your intention to kill or wound?
I think probably to wound.
Okay, so how does that go?
That is 7.
Oh, wow. Gee whizzery. The keeper will tell you, do you do it on roll with an appropriate ability? I think the cost is you are going to get both wounded. You have succeeded, but he's going to wound you. And I think let's just give you the condition wounded. You hit his gun arm, his gun drops. He hits your gun arm, your gun drops. And we cut back immediately to the house on St. James's Street. Do you have enough, the pair of you, to resolve the question?
We could do it at a +2 if we could work in all the clues.
So can you?
Do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Any suggestions, Hence?
Okay.
Marta?
Right. So I think that it's what happened here is that I think this ghost. So I think this ghost is the product of a ritual gone wrong. I think that I think that there was an unhappy romantic tryst, which sort of is referenced in the love letters, and an attempt to sort of return things to the way they were. So I think maybe there was maybe it was a young couple that childbirth went tragically wrong, but not fatally wrong for the mother. And as a result, they became obsessed with using magic to sort of to conjure their child back, and they did conjure a child, but it was not, their child.
I am ticking off things as I think you hit them.
Right. So, and I think that yes, and that association. The magic I think the book that I was looking at described ghost finding rituals and sort of mentions offhandedly a rumor that writer had assisted in someone attempting a ritual, but it went awry in some unspecified way. So I think that adds to that. I mean, I think the different place probably had to do with the child. Was actually not a different place. It was the vantage of when this child from, you know, centuries past, what the land looked like then. And the clocks being turned back to the wrong time is sort of the pull of that past. And as far as the glass tiger shattering, I think it's worth noting that it is the size of a child's toy, and that the child was trying to draw our attention back to its room, to where the ritual happened, and not sort of the room where it was haunting the prior owner, because it was on the opposite side. It was on the wall it was opposite the hallway from the front room, where the ritual
that uses and explains all of those clues. So Marta hence took the responsibility last time and rolled double one.
Yes.
Let's see if Marta can do better.
So I have a quick question. So a young child is the one that's haunting the place?
A young child from centuries ago who was conjured by this couple that had been a former resident here in error, and then never released. And that's what's going on. So so the question is, I mean, so what she wants, what this child wants is the freedom from this room, is the freedom to be able to travel. But they're bound and caught, and, you know, they're not able to do that because the ritual was never finished. It went awry, and the ritualists, maybe they did not survive the psychic consequences, or perhaps they were just in terror of what they had conjured and had no idea what they had done. But in any case, what the spirit needs to be released is the breaking of the binding that's in that room.
Want to change any of that, Marta?
Yeah, I was thinking, and this is just an idea.
And by all means, yes.
Yeah, I like the idea. It's like a ritual gone awry, and there's this young child. And I think you mentioned this briefly, but what if they summoned the wrong thing? And so it is like, maybe it is some sort of young otherworldly being.
Changeling.
Oh, as in not so much from the past, but from some mythic version of the world.
Yeah, or like a changeling or something. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, and actually that's a possibility. Maybe this is the ghost of the child that they summoned, and the changeling is, and this is them being captured partially in the fairy realm, and the changeling was what.
Oh, I like that. So they got some sort of
right.
constructed child comes out. Okay, I like this. What if
murderous child is very in keeping the horror trope, as it were, especially a fairy raised murderous child.
Yeah. Well, how about this? How about they were making a deal, and I might be going off the rails here, so we can always chop it off. What if they were making some sort of deal to get their child back, and, you know, fairy deal, things went really bad. It didn't go all the way, but yeah, they got sucked into the fairy realm, and there's this weird young changeling creature haunting this place. So
all of those, I think, answer the questions.
Yes, the modification I would do on that is I like the idea of this being a human child's ghost who has been caught in the fairy realm. Now, maybe it was the original child of the couple, or maybe it was a child that had died near here, but it was a ghost that is drawn in, rather than the spirit in the house being a creature or fairy.
I'll be honest with you. I'm looking at the clock.
Right, I know we don't have much time.
That we're kind of talking around the subject. I think that we've got the idea that this is to do with a lost child.
Yes.
Either lost in time or space or fairy. So I'm very happy to go with Marta rolling, because Hence did this last time.
Yes.
And I think that this is rolling +2 to settle, to quiet this spirit, Marta. And
Sounds
I think it's
good.
appropriate you do, because this is quieting a dead child or a lost child, which fits
Oh, I like that.
your
Yeah.
trope so far. Yeah. So is there anything you want to invoke?
Oh,
no,
well, I just
can't. You
rolled.
can't.
I just rolled and I got a 12. So
Oh,
that's
wow.
14. So
Okay, I want to ask you if you want to put the mask on then. On a 12 plus, the mastermind will reveal themselves while the hunters are pursuing the opportunity. Okay, I'm going to hold the mastermind because I don't think I've got time now to do it justice. But that is clearly a success. You have resolved the threat. So I will tick that done.
Does that count as both answering a question and resolving the threat for everybody?
Yeah, because the second question does resolve the threat. There is no subsequent question on this particular threat. So you've resolved the St. James's Street ghost.
oh, okay. So
Yeah,
we're done
you're
with
done
this.
with the
Gotcha.
ghost.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But
Yeah, that's great.
I owe you a mastermind. Some hint of the mastermind next time.
Yeah, and I was going to suggest that Marta is looking for a soul to inhabit or to animate the child that she is forming. Perhaps that is the offer she makes this thing.
Well, she doesn't need to make any offers for a 12 plus.
Oh, no, I know.
But it could well be that at some later time, she invokes
Mhm.
that ritual to get that spirit back, because this ritual remains it's now available to all of you. So if she were to want to depart from science and go for the supernatural, we cut back to the hedge maze where we are outside, we hear 2 shots, and we see D.I. Pettigrew running towards the maze. And I think that's where we'll cut for today. I am conscious that I've overrun, so I am going to do a very curtailed Stars and Wishes in a moment, but I'll